right, get ready because today we're diving into a story that's got it all. Family drama, ancient customs, and plot twists you won't see coming. We're talking about Judah and Tamar. And before you think, wait, a Bible story, trust me, this one's got layers. You see, we're in the book of Genesis, way back in the early days. Judah, he's one of those founding fathers, part of that big, complicated family. Tamar, well, she's married to his eldest son, Hirah. But tragedy strikes, and dies. And that's where things get interesting. Because of this ancient custom called Levirate marriage, the story takes a turn you might not expect.
What's fascinating is that Levirate marriage wasn't just about keeping the family name going. It was a safety net for women in a time when their security was completely tied to having a male heir and being part of a family. Think about it.
Yeah.
You're a widow in that time. No husband, no son. Your whole life could fall apart. Levirate marriage was meant to prevent that, at least in theory. But in Tamar's case, well, it doesn't exactly go to plan, does it?
Judah tells his next son, Onan, to do his duty, marry Tamar, and give his brother an heir. But Onan rebels, and, well, he meets an untimely end, too. So here's Tamar, widowed twice, still young. You can just imagine the weight of grief, the uncertainty she must be feeling. What's she supposed to do now?
This is where Tamar's story could have ended. A tragic figure in a patriarchal society. But it doesn't. In fact, she becomes a much more active player in this story than you might expect. Remember her name, because Tamar is about to make some bold moves.
Judah, maybe worried about his last remaining son, tells Tamar to wait for Shelah, the youngest, to grow up. But years pass, Shelah is of age and still no marriage. So Tamar, seeing how things are playing out, decides to take matters into her own hands. And when I say take matters into her own hands, I mean she devises this daring, even shocking plan. She disguises herself, positions herself strategically by the roadside, and, well, let's just say she orchestrates an encounter with Judah himself.
This is a pivotal moment in the story. Tamar, in a position of very little power as a widow, takes a huge risk. What she's doing could have had serious consequences in that society. It speaks to her desperation, absolutely, but also to an incredible amount of courage and agency. And you have to remember, this isn't just a random encounter she's setting up. She asks for specific things as pledges. Judah's signet, his cord, and his staff. Those weren't just random trinkets, were they? Not at all. Think of those objects as a combination of an ID, a credit card, and a family heirloom, all rolled into one. In that tie-in place, they represented identity, authority, lineage. By obtaining them, Tamar isn't just guaranteeing some kind of payment. She's securing leverage, hard evidence, in a time long before DNA tests.
Fast forward a few months, and word gets back to Judah. Tamar's pregnant. Now, how does he react? Outrage, of course. He assumes she's been with another man and, caught up in his own sense of righteousness, demands she be brought out and punished.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Why is Judah so angry? Is it really about moral outrage, or is there something else going on here? Is it more about protecting his family's reputation, maintaining his own power and control? Remember, we're looking at this story through the lens of a very patriarchal society where men held all the cards.
And just as things seem to be reaching a boiling point, Tamar throws a twist no one sees coming. As she's being let out, she reveals the proof of who the father really is. Those objects Judah so carelessly gave up. And the tables are completely turned. Judah, who initially wanted to avoid any shame, finds himself utterly exposed. And Tamar, who everyone saw as powerless, well, she just forced a powerful man to face the consequences of his actions.
It's an incredible reversal of power, and it leads to one of the most debated lines in this entire story. Judah, confronted with his own hypocrisy, says, "She has been more righteous than I." What do you make of that? Was Judah simply admitting he was wrong? Or was there something deeper at play? That's the beauty of this story. It's open to interpretation. Was he acknowledging his failings or recognizing Tamar's intelligence and bravery in the face of his hypocrisy? Or was it a moment of genuine change for him, a crack in the rigid social structure of that time? There's so much to unpack there. And this is just the beginning.
All right, we're back with Judah and Tamar. Remember, we're talking ancient times here, ancient customs. But there's a reason the story still resonates today. It's got those timeless themes that just hit different, you know. Last we left off, Judah's world was flipped upside down, his own actions, his hypocrisy out in the open. Tamar, about to face punishment, turns the tables, revealing she's carrying his child.
And this is where the story could have easily gone a whole different direction. Judah, in a position of power, could have easily dismissed her claims, silenced her. But he doesn't. He acknowledges the truth, and the narrative takes another unexpected turn.
Exactly. It's almost like this encounter with Tamar, this forced confrontation, creates a shift in Judah. It's as if something inside him changes. What happens next is what always gets me. Tamar gives birth not to one, but to twins. Perez and Zerah, and there's this seemingly small detail about a scarlet thread.
Ah, yes. The scarlet thread. It's in moments like these that we see how even seemingly insignificant details in a story can carry a lot of weight. Remember, storytelling back then was often about conveying deeper truths, sharing moral and spiritual lessons.
So what's the significance of that scarlet thread? Remind us what happened.
Well, as Tamar's giving birth, one twin starts to emerge first, and the midwife ties a scarlet thread on his wrist to mark him as the firstborn. But then, in a dramatic turn, he pulls back, and his brother is born first.
Talk about a twist. It's like something out of a Shakespearean drama, with babies switching places at the moment of birth.
Precisely. And this seemingly minor event, this switching of places, will have a huge impact on the unfolding narrative of the Bible.
Wait, really? How so?
Because even though Zerah emerges first, it's Perez, the twin initially marked with the scarlet thread, who is ultimately recognized as the rightful heir in Judah's lineage.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting for me. We're not just talking about one family's drama anymore. We're talking about a lineage that, according to the Bible, leads all the way to King David and eventually
To Jesus.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
This story, often relegated to the sidelines of biblical narratives, is actually woven into the very fabric of Christian tradition.
Wow. So this woman, Tamar, who we first encounter facing such hardship, such uncertainty, she ends up playing a pivotal role in this much larger narrative.
Precisely. And it's a testament to the enduring power of stories like this. They challenge our assumptions, they subvert expectations, and they remind us that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, human choices, human actions, can have far-reaching consequences.
Makes you wonder about all the other stories, the other Tamars out there, whose lives and choices might have shaped history in ways we'll never fully grasp.
Exactly. And that, I think, is one of the most compelling aspects of studying history, of delving into these ancient narratives. They offer us a glimpse into the complexities of human experience, the interconnectedness of our lives, and the surprising ways in which even seemingly small events can have a ripple effect across generations.
And in this case, those ripples carry all the way into the most foundational stories of Western civilization. Who would have thought that a deep dive into the book of Genesis would take us on such a wild ride? And there's still so much more to unpack, folks. You are listening to The Deep Dive, and we'll be right back after a quick message.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We've been on quite a journey today, haven't we? Exploring the twists and turns of Judah and Tamar's story. We started with a seemingly simple setup of family tragedy and ancient custom, but with each layer we uncovered, the story revealed more complexity, challenging our assumptions about power, morality, and the very nature of justice. What's fascinating is how this story, despite its ancient context, still resonates so strongly today. It grapples with timeless human themes, family loyalty, betrayal, the struggle for agency, the consequences of our choices, both intended and unintended.
And it makes you wonder, is Tamar a hero in this story? Or is she more of a manipulator, I guess? Is there even a clear-cut answer?
That's the question that has kept scholars and theologians debating for centuries. Tamar is a complex character who defies easy categorization. On one hand, she's a victim of circumstance, a woman trying to survive in a patriarchal society. On the other, she's resourceful, bold, even defiant in her pursuit of what she believes is right.
It's almost as if the story itself refuses to give us a simple answer. It's like it's inviting us to wrestle with these questions, to confront our own assumptions about right and wrong, about who gets to make the rules and who has to follow them.
Precisely. And that's the power of stories like this. They hold up a mirror to our own humanity, our own complexities, and challenge us to grapple with the nuances of morality and justice.
So where does this deep dive leave us? I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this story.
I think that's the best place to be. Because it means we're still asking questions, still open to new interpretations, still willing to challenge our assumptions.
So to our listeners, if this deep dive sparked your curiosity, I highly encourage you to go back and read the story for yourself, Genesis chapter 38. You might be surprised by what you discover. And as always, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those deep dives going. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Toby, Eleanor, and our team of researchers are working hard to produce more episodes. If you value what we're doing here, please consider subscribing and sharing the word. Additionally, our podcast, RSS, and Patreon links can be found below. Listener support is what makes our work possible. Join us next time for another deep dive. God bless.